Hello, it's time for another episode of It's Not About You. We've been talking about selflessness and selfishness and how these things flush out in our lives and in the Bible. My name is Bob Benson. I pastor Christ Lutheran Church. I want to take you to a section of Scripture that you probably wouldn't think about when you're thinking about selflessness. I want to take you to Esther. I'm going to read a small portion of Esther, chapter 4, starting in verse 16. Go gather all the Jews to be found in Susa, and hold fast on a fast on my behalf, and do not eat or drink for 3 days or nights. And I and my young women will also fast as you do. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. And Mordecai went away and did everything as Esther had ordered him. Here is a woman, and we all kind of know the basic background story of Esther, a Jewish girl who is taken in and prepared to be the queen of the land, and the king chooses her. But even in that relationship, she didn't have the freedom to just go in and talk to the king. The way things were done in those days, she had to be asked to come before the king. And she decides to go and present herself before the king. And that's why that whole, if I die, I die. And she's not thinking about herself. Who is she thinking about? The plot is on to kill all the Jews. Now, that includes her. But in her royal position, would it have included her? That's the question that I have. I don't think the king had no idea she was Jewish. The only people that knew she was Jewish are the people that had surrounded her beforehand, and she had revealed to a few people within the palace that she was Jewish. So I'm not sure that this edict would have included her. And she selflessly, she knows that it's illegal for her to go to talk to the king without being summoned. She, of her own accord, says, I need to intervene on behalf of the Jews. And she goes before him. She takes this huge risk because she's being selfless. She's thinking about her people. I just think about what it is in the church that sometimes we have to, regardless of the consequences, we have to inject ourselves into certain situations. I'm not one of those guys that likes to inject myself into every situation. I love to be asked, but there are some situations that we have to inject ourselves into, and this was one of those times. And we all know how the story ends. Esther has this great banquet, and the evil Mordecai loses his life, and the king issues a command that the Jews can defend themselves, and therefore the Jews are saved. Not every story ends up in a happy ending. When you inject yourself into a situation, sometimes you're going to get attacked over it, and sometimes we need to do that. We need to be thinking not about us, not about our reputation, not about how we look, but how is it that we are God-like, Jesus-like in those situations? So I would encourage you, read the story of Esther completely and understand the selflessness that she had as she took that step. And that's what we're supposed to live out. So for It's Not About You, thank you for taking the time to watch today.